What's up, everyone? This is April. I'm here to do a recap or review for Married to Medicine, Season 9, Episode 6. The girls are still in Vegas. So, we're going to get into the show and talk about our feelings and whose side we're on. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, turn on your notification button so you can be notified of all my uploads. And let's get into and also comment. I like to get into conversations and see where your head is at. You don't have to agree with me, but I just like to get some interaction. So let's get into the review. I don't want to belabor the point. So the girls, like I said, are still in Vegas. They are, they have gotten through their what is it that I'm losing my train of thought. But they were playing Never Have I Ever. So that's where we left off in the last episode. So this episode, the ladies are still playing Never Have I Ever. The question came up: have you ever had sex on the beach? So of course, I think Contessa said that she has. Toya says she and Eugene have, but Quad didn't feel like that was accurate because they flashed back to another episode where Toya was trying to have relations with Eugene on a balcony, and Eugene wasn't trying to have it, like not in the daylight or something he said. So Quad was calling foul on that. She was not trying to feel like that was accurate. And I don't know. They may have. I don't know. Maybe Dr. Eugene got a little freak in him and he wanted to have sex on the beach. So Jackie says on her never has she ever smoked weed. Everybody drunk on that except Jackie. Somebody, I think it was Contessa, said a little weed might loosen Dr. Jackie up. So I don't know. How y'all feel about Dr. Jackie on a little bit of ooh wee? I don't know. Anila says never has she ever had anal pleasures. And she was probably the only one who took a drink. No one wanted to admit to that. So she was out there on her own, and then she tried to take it back real quick. Like when she felt like when she was on that island, she tried to take it back, but it didn't work. Everybody was like, "Girl, you can have that. The stuff that you, ain't nothing should go inside of that. Everything, only come on the outside." So yeah, they left Anila hanging out there on that one. If you see me looking to the side, I'm looking at my notes. So Heavenly and Toya are next to each other and for their rooms, so they figured that out. Heavenly said, "What goes on in Vegas stays in Vegas." So she and Toya may have a little relations. I doubt it, but you know how Dr. Heavenly is. So the ladies are getting ready for an evening with Dr. Jackie. Contessa puts on this cotton candy colored like wig and a Chanel necklace and stuff. So she says this is her alter ego Chanel. Um, Scott does tell her as she's on the phone with her, he tells her to not even get into the conversation of the whole YouTube thing with Dr. Heavenly. Like, just leave it alone. So she vows to not talk about it. Of course, Quiet arrives late to dinner. Heavenly says she will wait to apologize. She just didn't feel like um, the vibe between Contessa and her was totally right, so she didn't want to bring it up. She didn't want to bring that up, which I don't blame her. I don't feel like that was a good time to bring it up. Simone says on her night they will pretend like they don't have husbands. So Dr. Heavenly wasn't feeling it. She was like, But I think Dr. Heavenly can get wild, if you know what I mean. But Jackie then pulls out a whip and whips it out on everybody. So they were, the ladies were in shock. That Jack and Qua was like, did you bring that from home? So everybody's in shock that Dr. Jackie pulls out this whip. Contessa says that she's happy where the weekend is going. Manila says, let's take a shot. And Jackie says, a shot of penicillin, because apparently syphilis is running rampant in Atlanta. So ain't nobody know that. So yeah. So that was a cute little, back and forth. Kawhi comments on Jackie's jacket, which it was a nice black jacket with a bunch of glittery dollar signs. Um, and Heavenly says that she believes that all women at the table are successful because Quad says usually Dr. Jackie kind of her money whispers. She doesn't really, she's not, loud with her money. So she was kind of shocked that Dr. Jackie would put on a jacket that has a bunch of dollar signs on it. And so when Dr. Heavenly says she feels that all the ladies are successful and at the table. And Audra takes this as an opportunity to get back at Toya and says, oh, do you really? Because, you said I wasn't a good attorney. And so Toya says, I was just joking, girl. It wasn't even that serious. And Audra says, I'm African. I don't play about my career. So, Quad is telling, Toya, maybe you shouldn't be talking about people's careers. People are sensitive about their careers, so you should be talking about it. So Toya says she was just trying to, tell she needs to get, brushing up her skills if she gonna defend Jackie. It was all in fun. So Toya, the part that I did like Toya, she's like, "Are you angry?" And Toya, and Audra was like, "No, are you clear?" And so I'm like, "Yes, Audra, are you clear? Like, okay, let me set this boundary with you. What you are not going to do is talk about my career." So comment down below. What is one thing that you don't play about? Is it your career? Is it, what don't you play about? Talking about your spouse, your children, like where is the hard stop? Like we're not playing those games, especially if I don't know you. So yeah, I get it. I get exactly where Audra was coming from. So after this, the ladies ventured on to a set shop. I believe it was called Pepper. And Contessa is in belief that Dr. Jackie even coordinated anything like this because, Dr. Jackie is very, I won't say stiff, but she's very, very conservative. That's what we'll call Dr. Jet. She's very conservative. She comes across as conservative. Um, so the so Heavenly says that Jackie has been in touch with her sexual side lately, and she wouldn't be surprised if she had her own Pornhub channel. So I'm like, what? Okay, Dr. Jackie, you getting in touch with your, sexual, femininity and stuff like that. However, I don't believe it. I don't think Dr. Jackie is no freak. I don't think she's getting in touch with her sexual side. I'm not buying it. I just don't. If anything, I think with this whole sex shop and all this stuff that Dr. Jackie is doing, I honestly believe that she's probably going to follow along the lines of Candy by doing maybe a sex toy or something like that, or partner with some type of sex toy industry because that's a booming business. So if you can get into it, I wouldn't be surprised if that's something that Dr. Jackie is eyeing. I don't think that Dr. Jackie is any type of freak in the sheets. I don't get that from her. But I do see that this could be a possible business venture that she may be eyeing, and that could be the reason why she's, exploring her sexual femininity is for a business. That's what I would think. I don't get it from, that she's legitimately, doing something like that, or exploring her sexuality. I don't see it. As they have a discussion about their sexual toys. Toya tells them that she's looking for a toy that can, be on the same level as her shower head. So Toya uses her shower head a lot. Anila says she also uses her shower head. So they show her a nice little toy that would have some suction that would be on par of the intensity that she gets from her shower head. So Quad says that Dr. Jackie told her that she doesn't need to use toys while she's single like that because when she meets a man, that he won't be able to live up to those standards. Do y'all agree? Like, you shouldn't, have little toys. You shouldn't have your alone time with your toys too much because it can ruin the experience when you do get your partner. I don't know. I don't know. How do y'all feel about that? Comment down below on that. So it goes to Mason calling Quad, telling her basically she's been gone too long. I love to see Mason when he comes up. He seems like he's such a little character. He seems like he's such a, little, he's so squishy. Like that type of vibe I get from Mason. He seems very, very, very like lovable. Um, Toya calls Toya and Simone and Carrie are all in her room, and as they're talking about the evening, Toya shades Audra and calls her Deidre. Says she don't know what her Deidre's issue is, and it's like Deidre. So Simone quickly says, "That's shade from Dr. Heavenly 101 when she don't act like she don't know your name because they flash back to when Heavenly and Contessa first met and she kept calling her Contessa. So yeah, that was a I believe that's some shade. You know that girl named Audrey. You know her name ain't no Deidre. So they show Anila's kids saying that they miss their mom. They are making a pizza with Dr. Karen. And so Dr. Karen is talking to them about Vegas, and Ariana says that it's a lot of weird stuff that goes on in Vegas. So yeah, and Ariana definitely knows that it can go down in Vegas. So they seem like they had a nice little project of making their own meal. I can honestly say that's a great thing to do with your kids is making a pizza because it's so. I mean, they can be as creative as they want to. They can make smiley faces. They can do whatever they want to. Put as much or as little as they want. It's their pizza. It's a showstopper. It's something fun to do with the kids. I highly recommend it. Scott is out with his kids and he's having a discussion with his daughter Lauren, who wants to who has been, put some eyeliner on. She said a little highlighter, and Scott was like, no, 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 not till you're 16. And she's looking like, no, I'm gonna have it now. So I don't know who's gonna win that. I suspect it's going to be Lauren who's gonna win in this. She will be having makeup on. Trust and believe. Dr. Damon takes Alora out driving, and he said, ask her where she wants to go first. She said she wants to go to um, a concert and stuff. And he was like, well, just call me, if you're gonna be late. And she said, yeah, I'll call you and let you know I'll be coming in at 2 o'clock. And he was like, no. So Dr. Heavenly says that Dr. Damon is totally manipulated by Alora, and I can honestly see that because she is the only girl. She's daddy's girl. Dad, daddy's girls get away with everything. I was a daddy's girl. I got away with stuff, my daddy, if I needed to get something, he might fuss, and my daddy, he might cuss, but I'm gonna get it. I just have to endure the fussing and the cussing, and then he gonna be like, "Go ahead and get it." I'm telling you, it works every time. Daddy's girls get whatever they want. So the ladies have breakfast, and Simone says her day is going to be about fun and the turn up. So Toya is on the hunt for bacon. The waiter is saying like this is going to be a traditional Mexican meal, and Toya don't care about none of that. She's like, yeah, 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 I need the bacon. So the waiter has to figure out how to get Toya her bacon. Contessa is already talking about the fact that she has broke her training. Her trainer's gonna be upset with her. Contessa had no self-control. Contessa, you had no self-control. I mean, from day one, you did not have any self-control. But I get it. When you're on vacation, I want to eat. I want to have fun, and I want to eat. So this is why I kind of don't believe the whole trainer thing, because she's just not. When you're into something and you're laser focused on something, you kind of can stick to it. Or it's like Teresa did in on the Real Housewives of New Jersey. Teresa always was hauling her food somewhere because she was serious about what she was, this beauty contest or this fitness contest she wanted to do. So that's why I'm like, Contessa, are you really that serious about it? I don't know. I think your storylines were going to be you and Heavily in this fitness thing. I don't think you're that invested. That's what I got to say about that. Um, so Simone heavily brings up the fact that Simone and Cecil are writing a book, and they are writing a book about their marriage and how they came back from on the brink of divorce. Dr. Simone says that a lot of the ladies in the group helped her through it, and she attributes Heavenly for being the one that helped her quite a bit. And she talked about how Heavenly has a different mindset on marriage. She said Heavenly feels like you should just shut up, and she's not in that mindset. But Dr. Heavenly had to correct her. She said, no, it's not shut up. Is that you want to pick your battles. So me, having been married before, my husband passed away a few years back, but I can definitely attribute to the fact that you want to pick your battles. Everything does not have to be a war and petty wars everywhere. It does not have to be like that. Sometimes it's just like, you know what? I'm just gonna let that ride. But when it gets, stuff that's really serious to you, something that really is something that a core value for you, yes, definitely, make talk about it, discuss it, get it out in the open, because it's going to fester and it's going to end up becoming an explosion. It's like a volcano. It's like all this pressure, pressure, pressure. I'm going to keep, when you put it under the rug, you put all this pressure on yourself, and then it just explodes. So yeah, I'm the type of person, let's talk about it when you are in a calm state. If you know that like I'm up here, I'm not trying to have a conversation. Let me cool down, and let when cooler heads prevail, let's discuss it. I'm not going to talk to you when I'm up here, because it's going to go there. And I know my mouth. My mouth, I've either said something, and it'll you once you say it, you can't take it back. Regardless if you apologize, you can apologize and be very sincere in your apology, but still the fact that you said something, like you said something about my mama, or you said something about, my child, or something, anything, it could be anything. You just don't want to get to that point, just to, get to a point where you are being combative. So I definitely recommend like discussing those serious issues, but some certain issues, like you didn't put the remote in the right place, like come on, that's not a situation that we need to keep discussing. Okay, he don't put the remote in the right place, just move it, because sometimes it's not even worth it. But sometimes that one little thing hit that nerve, and you can't help it. But usually when it's something like that, it's because it's a bigger issue that you haven't resolved yet. So yeah. Um, yeah. Jackie says the best time to talk about sensitive subjects is after sex. So yeah. Again, I don't know. I'm not buying the whole freaky Dr. Jackie thing. Um, Heavily brings up, says that Jackie won't. Now I don't know really how they cut this up, because it went from talking about marriage to French, people not speaking their truths. So I don't know if something was cut, and it was the editing. But they go to and say Dr. Jackie doesn't tell people how she feels, and Carrie immediately chimes in and says passive aggressive. So And Jackie agrees. She says, I just don't share. I just continue to be cordial. And I don't really think that that's healthy either. If we are a friendship, I want to know if I've offended you. I want to know, like, if there's an issue. Usually I'm a big energy person, so sometimes I can feel it. I may not always say anything, but or address it, but I can feel like the energy is off, and I can usually see, tell that that something is wrong. So usually I'll address it then. Sometimes if I feel like it. Um, Contessa says it's dangerous to have too many people in your circle. I also agree with that. Heavenly says that no one can tell her anything about her man or to leave him or to stay. That's going to be her decision. And yeah, it should be. Simone says that when someone makes up stuff about your man and a friend co-signs, that is what hurts the most. And that's what Simone is saying that Heavenly is not realizing about Contessa. So again, Heavenly is still saying, she was like, I didn't say anything that she did not say. And I feel like they are at an impasse. And I honestly don't feel like Contessa feels this way legitimately, that, that Dr. Heavenly overstepped, because she came on Dr. Heavenly's YouTube channel. She talked about it on Heavenly's YouTube channel after this situation occurred. So I'm like, if you were that hurt, as a friend, I would have said something, or Dr. Heavenly probably would have figured out the energy was off in the relationship, but y'all continue to maintain a friendship until then. So it was kind of like, it was weird. So and Dr. Contessa doesn't seem like, she seems to be very a direct person. So I'm like, well, what if you were so direct? Why wouldn't you be direct with Heavenly if she offended you into that manner where you got to be crying and hollering and screaming every time? So that's why I'm not really totally buying everything. That is the issue. So Simone says that Heavenly acts like her marriage is perfect, and I don't think that Dr. Heavenly acts like her marriage is perfect. She just don't share, and that's one of the things my grandma always told me: don't keep people out your marriage. That includes your mother and your father. Don't your friends. Don't go, letting people into your marriage issues. So Heavenly always said, if something going on with her and Dr. Damon, ain't nobody gonna know. So that's her boundary. She set the boundary. She's not going to talk about her marriage. But if you talk to her about your marriage, that's on you. And so I get the fact that she commented on YouTube, but the only thing I can say with that is like, well, why didn't you say something? Because you really came on her YouTube channel to bash Toya, to talk about Scott, to talk about the whole situation, and you did not say anything. So if that just kind of rubs me the wrong way, if it offended you, it would have offended you from the beginning, not let 5 months down the line. Um, So Contessa's in the background screaming, "Where is that power? Where is that power?" And I'm just like, okay, but Dr. Heavenly is saying the same thing. She said when she says her marriage is perfect, she's speaking that over her marriage, that her marriage is perfect. So that's the same thing. They're essentially saying the same thing. Um, then Heavenly, is annoyed at this point, and she's saying like everybody talks about everybody in the group. It's a reality show, so you're supposed to talk about each other. Now the reality show doesn't filter over into Heavenly's YouTube, so I think that Dr. Heavenly needs to figure out a way that she can do what she wants to do and love with her YouTube channel, but not offend her friends. Candy seems to do it well, so I feel like she needs to take some pointers from Candy and see how she can do better in that arena. Because Candy doesn't speak on it, and it's always, I don't hear the ladies talking about that too much about, being offended by Candy. So maybe I don't know, maybe it's the messenger and not the message. I don't know. It's a weird thing. So Heavenly tells Contessa that she's really mad at her husband. So at this point, they're screaming and shouting at each other. Nothing is productive. I saw a lady in the background with her phone. She's like, filming everything. Toya's eating her bacon. Carrie's eating her food. Like nothing is going on. They are having to separate Heavenly and Contessa. It's a whole, it's a whole show going on in this Vegas restaurant. So I'm just like, what? Like if it were me, I would first of all I couldn't be shouting like that in a restaurant. But I get it's a reality show and the tempers are high. And Dr. Heavenly is hurt, legitimately hurt. I'm not so convinced with Contessa. I feel like Contessa is trying to belabor the point at this point. I just don't feel like she's as hurt as Heavenly is. So they rush Dr. Heavenly on out of the restaurant. Anila and Audra take her back to the room, and Dr. Heavenly said, "You got any drinks?" So she goes back to her room for drinks. Now, if y'all hear something in the background, they are cutting the lawn. They are mowing the lawn outside. So I apologize. So, where am I? So Jackie blames Heavenly's outburst for her menopause and says she needs to get her medicine. Now I don't really agree with that. I feel like Dr. Heavenly is legitimately hurt. So I feel like it's just and she's frustrated at this point because at this point she's feeling in her heart that Dr. Contessa is really using her for a storyline and that she doesn't like that as a friend. So I feel like it doesn't have anything to do with the menopause, but it has everything to do with her being hurt because Dr. Heavenly has said herself she doesn't have a lot of friends. And so for her to have Contessa in that space with her, I feel like it just really, really hurts even more. Like if Dr. Jackie said something or did something to her, I feel like she would react the same way. Like she would be very, very upset. Um, so after all is said and done, the ladies start praying together, and they call on the Lord, bother him about this mess, which is something that seems like it could be preventable. They should have called on the Lord prior to this, this whole situation. They should have called on the Lord and asked him what he would have wanted them to do, and he probably said he would have preferred that they handled it like adult women and went to each other. If I offended you, let me, or I feel offended, let me tell you why. And and there could have been some forgiveness at that point. At this point, y'all trying to bring the Lord into y'all mess, and God don't bless mess. So Toya says the beauty is in the breakthrough. So hopefully these ladies can get to that point where they have a breakthrough and they have some resolve because I'm actually tired of hearing this whole storyline of the YouTube channel. Heavenly's not giving it up. She just needs to streamline it a lot more and watch her mouth. And I think Dr. Heavenly runs at the mouth a lot. She needs to exhibit some self-control. That's she could definitely take a bit of self-control over her mouth. So yeah. So they end up going to an excursion where they are ziplining across Fremont Street in Las Vegas. Toya was very upset because she's scared of heights. I too am scared of heights. But I feel like I would like to do that zip lining. I don't know. It depends on once I saw how high it was. I probably would have been like Toya. Um, I don't know. That thing probably would have gave me the bubble guts. I can't. I don't know. But it seemed like it would have been fun. I hate that I'm scared of heights. That's one. Ugh, I hate that. I would. I feel like that just is so limiting. Maybe I need to, explore hypnotism to help me get over my fear of heights. What are your fears? Do you have a fear of heights? Do you have anything that just seems like it just holds you back from stuff and you're like, Lee, I wish I could do something else. So yeah, that's basically what it ended up being. the crux of the whole show is, Dr. Heavenly and Dr. Contessa again having the same fight about the YouTube channel. Whose side are you on, Dr. Heavenly or Dr. Contessa? I'm still Team Heavenly at this point. Dr. Contessa hasn't won me over at this. I'm not buying. I'm not buying it. I get it, but I'm not buying that she feels like that. So that's all I got. I don't have anything else to give. If you want to definitely comment down below on whose side you're on, please let me know. Comment, share, subscribe. Love me because I love you. Welcome to my tribe. Stay blessed.